Hello, everybody. Welcome to Storm Talk. This is Way Through News meteorologist Brian Good. We'll get into the next week's setup here in just a few moments. That, of course, is going to be our headline here on the monitoring board. Still dealing with the front that is going to stall over the area, and then we've got a low pressure and perhaps even another one beyond the 12th. I'll get to that in a second. Let's cover, though, the short term, and we're dealing with these pesky clouds. As always the case, it takes a while for the dry air to mix things up and begin to break up the cloud deck. We call this an inversion that sets up in our area anytime we see a cloud deck like this with the stratus. But we are seeing the dry air work its way in our northwest counties, and we're starting to see some of the erosion even across our southern counties as well. We're going to see some sun, and it could be a nice sunset actually for some of us, but it's going to be awful late in the day. So as far as warming goes, it's going to be a struggle to get us to warming levels. In fact, look at the response here, jumping in the 40s as soon as the sun comes out. Even the thinning to the south is allowing temperatures in the 40s, but here in the middle, 30s are dominating. I think we'll get into the 40s, but it's going to be a late day high. All right, so even if we do clear out, it's not that big of a deal because we have another system coming our way. It's another clipper. It's going to dive down as we head into the next 24 hours. Now, it's going to bring with it the initial round of showers right here in Iowa. They'll move in here just in time for, say, 8 or 9 o'clock tomorrow. And then we've got the spiraling band on the backside of the low. This part here could allow for a few showers, maybe a few rumbles of thunder that could generate ahead of this second piece. Notice what's happening in between. There's a gap. You get some clearing. We will see that probably for a few hours during the day tomorrow. So this is how it's going to play out. Showers at the first spoke. We'll get a little bit of sun to break through in the middle, and then we've got the backlash of the low itself that'll come in here Saturday afternoon, evening. It could give us a few showers, especially east of 65. That's how it's a 1, 2, 3 kind of deal throughout Saturday. How much of that little spoke of dry will determine how warm we get. Potential is there, though, for mid to upper 50s. It just depends on how much sun we can squeeze out of those clouds in between there. All right, so let's show you a futurecast of the wind arrows tonight. We try to clear things out. As we do, we'll have the first spoke move in tomorrow morning. Could still see a mix here of this being wet snow, just like we just went through the other morning. Not as dramatic and not as widespread. Got to stress that, all right? It's a little different of a setup, but as far as precipitation type and same spots, that potential is there for a little bit of a mix. Quickly go into all rain, though, as that first spoke passes by. Notice the wind arrows still out of the south. Here comes a little patch of dryness that worked its way in, and then we get the reaction of that second spoke moving in. Now, we will hopefully benefit enough to get us into the 50s. I think that's going to happen, but we get a north wind, though, as we into Saturday night. So it's going to be chilly Saturday night into Sunday the way it's looking. How quickly we get rid of the clouds on Sunday will determine how warm we're going to get there, but at this point it looks like we're going to clear out pretty rapidly enough, and we're going to turn the wind arrows around by the time we get to the evening out more of the southeast and eventually south Sunday night. So I think our high on Sunday, it's going to be a cool day. Most of the day on Sunday is going to be cool and chilly, relatively speaking, but the sun's going to work its way in. But as we get more of a south wind, you see the arrows begin to turn there. This is as far as the model can go. But as we get into Sunday night, we'll begin to see more of a south flow, and our numbers may actually begin to rise. So it could be actually warmer Sunday night than it will be during Sunday day. So FYI. Then we get into a nice day on Monday. I think Monday's going to be pretty warm the way it's looking now. 70 degrees, some sunshine. Tuesday I think it's going to be in the 70s. Increasing clouds, but Tuesday night into Wednesday, this is where the front begins to move in. Again, it is attached to this low pressure here into Canada, but the low is leaving it behind. So the front gets left behind and is left all by itself to sit here while its mommy goes to the northeast. That's the best way I can put it. But it looks like this front's going to stall out, and the location still is very good agreement on the models of where this will likely set up. And it looks to be across Ohio, southern Indiana, southeast Missouri, all the way into Texas. That is going to be a repeated zone of showers, thunderstorms, heavy rain, flash flooding, severe potential. Can't rule it out. I think the better chance for that is going to be in this portion of that line. I would say the Boot Hill, Missouri, Arkansas, there is going to be a potential for a few isolated tornadoes that could develop in that zone. I think for our area, it's probably going to be more of a heavy rain threat. And for those of us in Kentucky, especially southern counties, you may hold off the longest from seeing any rain out of this. You may get clouds, but you may hold off the longest from a steady, heavy rainfall compared to the rest of us along the Ohio River in southern Indiana. Then as we head into the time period here of Thursday, we will see the front itself snaked out. Now we're going to have an area of low pressure that's going to be developing, a cutoff low on the tail end of that front. Now that low is going to be very broad, very wide low pressure. So that really won't create a severe weather threat. If there is going to be one, it would be on the eastern flank of that, kind of like you would look for a hurricane, the same deal. The eastern flank would have the best chance for maybe some stronger thunderstorms. For us, more of a rain and thunder kind of a setup. And there would be patches of dryness, though, of the core of the low itself, a lot of clouds. That low then moves into our area, into our north, as we into Saturday. We may see a break here. Thursday into Friday night, we may see a break in the rain action, but that low is going to still create quite a bit of cloud cover. Saturday into Sunday for next weekend, showers around. I know a lot of you trying to plan the St. Patrick's Day Parade. We'll watch it carefully, but I would bet on clouds and probably some showers around, but it doesn't look chilly. I think we'll be in the 60s, even with clouds. That low moves out into the northeast. But here's what things here's where things get interesting on the Euro. That was the GFS that I showed you, which the Euro is pretty similar in. But here's where they differ. Once that cutoff low moves to our north, it gets stuck and eventually absorbed by a new low that moves out into the plain states. And then that low will move over us as we head into the following week, so the 14th or 15th of March. That would mean a very long, prolonged period here of a rain chance that will kick in Tuesday night and could last 7 to 10 days. It may not rain all that 7 to 10 days, but there will be a daily rain chance for 7 to 10 days with that kind of a setup. Very wet forecast here as we head in the middle of March. But notice, for those of you that are familiar with looking at maps, you may have noticed here that there's a lot of cold air to the north. And sure enough, there is. Very cold air, in fact. Now, initially, if you would think a low goes by, it could pull down that cold air. That could happen. We could see a cool down after that low on the 14th of March. But more importantly, I think we're going to see the cold air more focused into this part of the country and a very warm surge ahead of it. This would scream the potential for severe weather to ramp up as we get into the second half of March. We'll see if that plays out, but the players on the field are beginning to line up to allow that to happen. So that's something we'll be monitoring for the second half of March for sure. Now, as far as rainfall totals, we'll monitor this carefully. Here's the European model. Notice you can definitely tell where it's focusing on that main stalled front, the Tuesday through Thursday front. But in general, widespread 2 to 4 inches, and in higher amounts, a half a foot of rain into Missouri. The GFS model has the arcing a little closer to the southeast. We'll watch it carefully and see how this plays out, but it could put down some hefty totals here of maybe half a foot into Indiana, and then maybe another little heavier band over central Kentucky. Either way, we're talking about at least 4 inches of rain that is going to fall in parts of wave country next week alone. And if we get the second low that gets attached to this chain of rain systems, we may see another 4 inches added on to that. So there could be a potential for 4 to 8 inches of rain between now and, say, the 16th of March that could fall over wave country. That is significant. And I think that it may, if it's spaced out enough, flash flooding may not be a huge threat, although it's possible. I think river flooding is going to become a problem for us for the end of March here, and that is going to be bad news for several. I know a lot of farmers don't want a lot of wetness in the spring season coming up, but also for Thunder over Louisville and all the Derby events to kick in. We always have to deal with the high Ohio River, and we've had to deal with that the past couple of years, and this is not looking good if this setup holds true for the way the spring could play out. Things could change, obviously, but I'm just letting you know right now how things are looking in the longer term. Stay tuned. We'll keep you updated, of course, and we'll have an update on Way Through News beginning at 5 o'clock. See you then. Have a good weekend, by the way.